You are listening to Stages Podcast with Mary Lee Fairbanks and Stephanie J. Block. Welcome to Season 6. Here on Stages Podcast, we go behind the scenes and beyond the resume to explore the crossroads of creativity, spirituality, motherhood, and so much more. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the places. Give us 5 stars and a great review. It really helps us grow. Thanks for joining Stages Podcast, Season 6. A love letter to the golden age of musicals, Schmigadoon. Schmigadoon is the inescapable new comedy that is coming to Broadway this spring in April. Don't miss this hilarious new musical starring Broadway favorites Alex Brightman and Sarah Chase. Tickets are on sale now, so go get them at schmigadoonbroadway.com. For your time, because I have seen your world tour and it's about to get crazy for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like God's punishment for being a narcissist for 66 years. Like, now he's like, now watch, you're going to be so sick.
Attention?
Oh,
You want attention?
well,
It was
instead of
about
talking
you?
about myself. I mean, it's one thing to talk about a project when you're working on it and you
Yeah.
do press, because you're talking about, a lot of things that you're involved with. But this is like me.
Yeah.
And then I just recorded the audiobook, and that took weeks because, although I'm a ham, I'm not used to performing all the time. So my tongue trips over itself. So I had
It's
to keep going
harder
back.
than one
Yeah.
might think, right?
My
Like you
God.
read 10, 12, 20 pages in a day, and all of a sudden, nothing below your nose starts working. It just stops. Yeah.
So along with the guys that work with me, Sam and Scott, I go home after recording and I comp it like a vocal. I have like, okay, here's that take, and then here's that. So now I'm listening to myself talk about myself.
Yeah.
I'm editing myself talking about myself.
Do you still like yourself?
Oh, well, did I ever?
Well, okay, so I reached out to a handful of pals that know you very well, and I just wanted to get a sense, because you and I have not worked together, blah, 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 maybe that's the next book, but they had such incredible things to say, and I chose 2 in particular because it was within, I don't know, like 10 minutes that I put out hey, I'm about to speak with Marc Shaiman, can you just throw out a couple thoughts? So I want to read 2 of them to you. Camila Marshall, who is Camila Marshall. He's joy with legs. Watching him create is both fascinating and a total dopamine hit to your system. Doing Hairspray with Marc was a gift, a true gift to me in my career, because he believed in me more than I believed in myself. And that's what Marc Shaiman is for many artists. It comes down to this. He's just a beautiful human being. And then Bill Valoric, who my husband has worked with for years and years. Billy V. Okay, so I had just moved to New York. I was 19 years old, and I was a secretary at some talent agency. And I met Marc at one of the first AIDS benefits at the Bottom Line in New York City. Marc was 25, I think, and the concert show that evening was called Marc Shaiman, The First 50 Years. The evening exposed Marc's heart as he read a list of his friends who had died of AIDS. And I remember it was the first time I had seen a man grieve publicly about what was happening around us. I remember him singing a song called Suddenly You Say Goodbye. Later, we smoked a joint. We can edit that out later if you want. We ate a burger, and we spoke of artists and singers, and we have been friends ever since. He is really his brother's keeper. He is a giant among the kind givers of the world. He stands alone in his generosity, actually. And my God, he is the funniest person I've ever met. He can make me fall over with just one glance. This celebrated composer, lyricist, music producer, and giant among the kind givers of the world has written his memoir, Never Mind the Happy Showbiz Stories from a Sore Winner. And his book is set for both publication and audio release on January 27th. His successes are many, including 2 Grammy Awards for Some Like It Hot, Hairspray, 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, a Tony Award, 7 Academy Award nominations, 2 BAFTA Awards, 2 Golden Globe Awards, and he received the Hollywood Film Award for Outstanding Contribution to Music and Film. EGOT, schmegot, whatever, who cares? This man is rolling in accolades. He's worked with everyone. He is beloved by everyone. And he has hilarious and rich anecdotes and stories about everyone, at least in show business. And whether you use your eyes or your ears to read, you are going to want to get his book. So until then, please welcome to Stage's podcast the absolutely marvelous Mr. Marc Shaiman. Marc Shaiman, will you join us on stage, please? Marc, please, please, please come to stage.
Well, we're out of time now.
Goodbye now.
This was wonderful. Thanks.
You're just the
Wow,
greatest.
that's so lovely what they wrote. Was that off the top of their heads? Did they just
Really. Yeah. I
write
told
that
them
there?
don't text it or anything. Just do an audio message so I can hear, what they were saying. And it's really quite beautiful. Yeah.
Oh,
You
You're
know
loved.
what struck me is when you said about the belief in self that he believed when I was Camila said
Yeah.
that he believed in me before I believed in me. And I heard you on an interview, Mark, saying the same thing about Mr. Rob Reiner, that he believed in you before you knew you could do the job. And your agent said, "Why do you want him?" And he just said, "I believe in talent and I can see what I see." And I just think that's an interesting loop.
You're giving the
yeah,
gift you were
yeah.
given.
I guess that's well, I was gonna say I guess that must be a fairly common thing in show business, but I think it's true probably in every walk of life of people who, need someone else to say, yes, you can do that.
Mm.
And maybe sometimes it doesn't work out, but yeah, I've been surrounded by people my whole life who have said, "Yeah, you can do that," and then I have had moments where I have had the inner chutzpah to just say, "Yes, I can." I
Yeah.
tell one story in the book where I had worked with Bette Midler for the first time, and that's a whole story about getting to work with her. I went from fanatic when I was 13 and 14 and 15 to the first time I worked with her that I thought would be the ultimate thing at the end of my life and career I would get to somehow. And it happened in a year and a half. And I was working with her for the first time when I was 17.
Wow.
And then like a year later, I heard she was putting together a world tour. I'd worked on a smaller tour she did in America. So anyway, long story short, I called her and I said, "Hey, I'd love to work on this new tour I hear you're doing." And she said, "I'm only hiring from LA, only local people." So I was in New York, and so I hung up the phone and I thought for 5 seconds. I went to Citibank there on 7th Avenue South. I think it was literally the first ATM that ever existed. Took out all my money, got in a cab, went to JFK, flew to
No.
LA, and called her from a phone booth, if you can remember what that is.
Yeah.
And from a phone booth at LAX, this is like a movie, and said, "I'm in LA. Where's rehearsals?"
Oh my gosh.
And she was kind of dumbfounded and said, "Oh, well, all right, here's the address."
The Debbie Reynolds Studios in Burbank. Meet
Well,
me there. No,
it
no.
wasn't it has been at other times with Debbie Reynolds. No, this was in someone's backyard. It was like someone's just I don't know what it was, but anyway.
But then you
So
had the chutzpah really, really early. Did that come from your mama? Where'd that come from?
I don't know where that came from.
Really?
I mean,
Because you
when you
you
talk
left high
about,
school early
Yes,
and got your
you left high school
GED.
at 16, I think, right?
I found out I passed when I was 15. I had such chutzpah. I went and took the test when I was only 15, and I found out I passed, so I kind of stopped going to school pretty much. But then on my 16th birthday, which was in October of what would have been 11th grade, that was my last day of school.
Wow.
And I met some people in New York that summer, the summer of '76, and immediately started working in New York, and that was it. I hit
That
the
was
ground
it.
running.
But were your parents afraid for you? Were they saying, "What are you doing? You can't just leave high school at 16 years old, 16 and one day years old and like walk out into New York City?" And like were they concerned about your future and these
Yeah, well, my
choices?
mother says, people would say, "Well, what are you, crazy, letting him quit school and go?" And she said, "What am I going to do? Chain him to the piano?" I mean, it is
Jersey
insane.
parents. Mary Lee,
When
they're Jersey parents. I'm a
I
Jersey
think
parent, Mary
about
Lee.
it, I can't really even believe that they did let it happen. But I guess
Yeah.
what were they going to do? But I had starting around 13 or 14. Yeah, I started doing community theater in New Jersey, and I
Mhm.
was out every night doing theater already. Jobs. I mean, maybe I got paid $5, but I was going and I had a job to do, and I was doing it, and I was doing it relentlessly and endlessly. So they already saw that I was
Driven.
motivated
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
able
Yeah.
to
Nothing
do
was
it.
going to get in your way.
And then I did go to Carnegie Mellon University for this summer acting workshop that a friend of mine, her mom got her into. And then they said, "You want to get into it?" And I did. So anyway, and that was for acting. I thought I'd be a performer. I do remember round sound. We had to say that a lot. Round sound.
Round tones,
So
round
yes,
tones.
so there was a teacher there, a fabulously intense Israeli woman named Rina Yerushalami, and all the kids thought she was mean and horrible. I thought she was fabulous.
Oh,
And she called me a few months after that and said, "I'm doing an evening of Beckett at La Mama Experimental Theater on 4th Street, and I think the sound effects should have musicality. I think you could do it." So that was actually the first thing I did. I was took the bus and I went to La Mama, and I jangled some keys in a musical fashion. I hardly remember actually what I did, but so my parents already saw. Okay, now I'm taking the bus and going to New York City
right.
with a job. So it just happened. It just
How long were they with you here on Earth to see your success? What
My
did they
mom
get to
is
witness?
my mom is still here. She's 97
Mark.
years old. I
Oh,
just went.
wow.
I just flew to Florida for the day because Some Like It Hot is on tour and is at the theater that's right, literally in her backyard, the Kravitz Center
Oh,
Sure.
sure.
in
Yeah.
West Palm Beach. And
Yes.
so I just literally sat next to her at Some Like It Hot just a few days ago.
That's
My father
incredible.
unfortunately passed away at 77, so it's been around
Oh,
20
young.
years, I guess, or so. But he saw all that was happening. The Academy Awards they went to, and Tony Awards. They were there the night Scott and I won the Tony Award,
Oh my gosh.
which is
They were
also a
proud
story I tell in
parents.
the book because I stepped into what we call the White Room,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
everything I thought about saying I didn't say, and everything I said I hadn't thought about saying. And I was sharing our acceptance speech with Scott, and I ran out of time, and I didn't thank my parents.
Oh.
And it was truly maybe the most pissed, angry, hurt I ever saw my father be
Oh,
or
wow.
express it. I'll never be able to correct that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a hideous moment when I got back out into the theater and for my father to be so
Yeah.
outraged.
Oh,
You,
that's
you know,
sad.
it's not televised, but they do now, and maybe you know,
I
after
know.
you give your speech, you kind of decompress, they take you into a little room, and they now specifically say, now that you've had a breath, who have you forgotten? And look right into the camera and say thank you. And I
Oh,
remember
wow.
because I made a giant error, not my parents, but the other two gals that played Cher. They were part of my speech. And then I caught an eye of something. Much
Yeah.
like you, went on a little bit of a tangent, forgot them, and for years kept apologizing for just leaving them out because it doesn't work without these other two women. Like the show doesn't exist. And so luckily I had that tape. I showed them the tape. I profusely apologized, but I'm sorry that he held anger. That's a
But
bummer.
that's about the only time I can even think of him being that angry. So that's a good thing. And also that
That is
night,
a
which
good thing.
was strangely enough, the yin and the yang of it. That's the night that within that speech that was suddenly come out of my mouth, I said that I love Scott, and that we're not allowed to get married. But ladies and gentlemen, right here in front of you all, I want to say, Scott, I love you and I want to be with you the rest of my life. And he came in for a kiss, and we had our kiss on the Tony Awards, which was suddenly
Monumental.
for
Yeah,
2 days,
yeah,
it was like front page news and like
yeah.
around the world. It was crazy. So it was this incredibly high moment, and I can never forget the audience erupting. And then 10 minutes later was the moment of seeing my father's face
Oh.
and him absolutely saying it out loud, like, how outraged he was. So,
Mm. Yep,
that's
the whirlwind.
Yeah.
that's
World.
How
life
did you
in
meet
showbiz.
Scott, Mark?
That was, of course, I should keep saying that it's all in my book.
It's all in the book.
You can
Don't
all
tell,
read
don't
about
tell
it.
us. Just read about it.
Yeah, it's fairy tales that have happened in my life. I went to New York with a friend from New Jersey, and we went to see a musical that was at the Actors Playhouse. Doesn't exist anymore. They're in Sheridan Square. That was called Boy Meets Boy. How prophetic. Because when it was over, we ran into some other friends from New Jersey and said, "Oh, let's catch up." I mean, I was only 16. What was there to catch up on? But we just stepped right into the place that we ran into them, which happened to be Marie's Crisis. We didn't know what Marie's Crisis was. It was just the place right in front of us. And so we stepped down in there, and there was a piano in there. And so there I was, 16 years old, full of vim and vigor. I was like, oh, a piano. So I started playing, and the bartender, just like out of an old movie, was sweeping behind the bar, and he stopped. And suddenly the world turned black and white like a movie, because he said, "Hey, kid, you're good. Wait right here." And he went next door to where the duplex used to be, the original duplex. And Scott Whitman was there with a bunch of friends, and they were doing a comedy review, and they needed a funnier piano player. And John Michel, the bartender, the man who was running Marie's Crisis, he knew that they were looking for a funnier piano player. So they came in, and to make a long story short, I started playing for them. And I started working at Marie's Crisis, even though I was only 16.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My
Yeah, yeah,
piano
yeah.
playing ability seemed to mask my cherubic young face, because he hired me without saying, "How old are you?"
Yeah.
And then when I turned 17 that October, I lied and said, "It's my birthday and I'm turning 18. So yes, I've been working here underage." But I was lying. I was actually only turning 17.
Oh,
But then
wow.
then on New Year's Eve, they lowered me from the balcony in a diaper to be the newest baby.
As baby knew.
And that's when I thought, let me now look for some other form of employment.
Stages Podcast will be right back after a word from our sponsor. You and Scott famously have been partners long after your personal relationship as partners ended. How did you do that? How do you have advice to people how you can move past losing a personal, intimate relationship, yet keeping your professional relationship so vibrant and so active?
Well, we love each other, and we're lucky that our shared point of view for writing just is strong and important. And we were right in the middle of two projects, the Catch Me If You Can and the Martin Short Show, Fame Becomes Me, and didn't want to throw them away or disappoint the people we were working with. I mean, believe me, there were emails that went back and forth between people about, like, I don't know if this is going to be possible, but we struggled through it and we got through it. And that was how we met, was working together and writing together. So that bond was still there, and I never
Didn't
could have
change a thing.
predicted it could have worked out the way it has, where I am now married, my husband Lou, and Scott just got married, and we can all be together. And I never could have predicted, knock wood, how things can work out.
It's really
I-
beautiful when people can get past those kinds of hurts. My father and mother got divorced, and were, arch enemies for many, many years. And my father had a new woman in his life. He was with her for 25 years. But when my dad was dying, the new woman said to me, "Let's call your mom." And she invited her to the house for like 2 weeks to be with him when he was passing away. And I had said to my mom the whole time, "You would love this woman. She's a wonderful person." And now my dad's gone, and the two of them are best friends. They hang out all the time. We're actually going to lunch today, the three of us. So it's, I think that's how it should be, that maybe we're not all meant to be confined in these predetermined or culturally determined relationships forever. And that if love leads, you can morph into new things and new definitions, and it makes life even more beautiful.
It's true. It's all
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of long relationships in your life, and I think that's a testament to who you are. It does take energy, and it does take sort of this reciprocal type thing. And when your life, like yours, is very busy professionally, to still be able to invest in those romantic relationships, the friendships, your friendships are going on your career, 50, 60 years. When anything lasts that long, then it's a testament to the person who seems to be the central figure of all that spinning around. Yeah?
And yet I wish I still had stronger relationships with so many people who are part of my life. Like, even, God knows, writing the book, and I'm thinking about this moment in my life, this chapter, so to speak, where those people, that was the tribe that I was with night and day for years and years. And yet you get older, and the years go by and the decades go by, and suddenly there are new tribes that you're with, but it doesn't lessen what you were
No.
with the others. But I do kind of go, God, I can't believe I haven't seen so and so, and I can't remember the last time I even saw them. And yet for many years that was,
The only people you
Yeah.
saw
yeah.
for years and years.
So, but we're lucky if we get to live long enough. I've now unfortunately have learned over and over, to even be able to pine for, all that,
It's a gift, I know. I saw an interview. Yo-Yo Ma was on a late night show, and he was asked what music is, and he really kind of sat there and is very serious, but I just look up to Yo-Yo Ma so much. He seems so authentic to me. And he just said, music is just energy, and we're energy, and nature's energy. So that's why it connects us. That's why it lives forever. Sorry, Yo-Yo, I'm paraphrasing you like crazy. But if music is just energy, what sort of energy do you hope you have put out there, and what will be sort of your legacy with the music that you've created?
Gee, I always feel like it's not for me to say. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I don't know that. Hopefully I got it right when I was supposed to, whatever it is I was supposed to be doing, whether it was a movie score or a Broadway score. Hopefully I just came forth with what was needed. I can look to Hairspray certainly and say it's joyous. I know that what we accomplished with Hairspray is just total joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even though I'm Eeyore myself, thus the title of my book, Never Mind the Happy, which is a whole other story. I mean, that I have been able to accomplish some joyous things within music and lyrics and show business, and hopefully heartfelt stuff. But when you were describing music, I often think about how, like, we who are in music, especially if you really know what a C minor major seventh chord is, or A flat 13 sharp 11, and so on and so forth. Not that I would ever want this to happen, God, if you're listening, but what must it be like for someone who doesn't know music at all to listen to music, that they actually get to enjoy it at its most purest level, not analyzing at all, not going, like, I can't even have music when I go to get a massage. I usually am like, turn that off, because it's that repetitive me thing, and I'm like, here comes that second, And now it's going, oh yeah, right, it's going to go to that
Yeah.
minor now.
Yes, your
Yes.
So I'm
mathematical
thinking
brain
about
kicks
that
in.
instead of just
Yeah,
sort of like relaxing.
feeling it.
So can you imagine what it's like to not know at all music at all,
Mm.
except for the fact that it's making you feel something.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of irony that we musicians miss out on it at its most purest form.
Yeah. So interesting. That's so interesting. You know, Steph, what you said, what Yo Yo Ma said reminded me of there's a great Einstein quote, and it says, energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed.
I think he may have even said Yo-Yo
Oh,
Ma
yeah.
quoting Einstein. I
Yeah.
think he
Yeah.
did say that.
It can
You're
be
right.
transformed from one thing to another, and that's all it can be because it never dissipates. It never actually goes away.
Disappears. Right, right,
Yeah.
right. Are
Yeah.
you self-taught? Is that true? I feel like Bill Valoric told us that, and I'm not sure if I believe that.
No, I took piano lessons. So,
Okay.
I had the most rudimentary piano lessons for, 6 or 7 years, I guess. So I learned all the, and all
Sure.
that, and learned chords by, doing that. But then, yeah, me and my friend Mark, who lived across the street from me when I was growing up, he played guitar, and we were figuring out Beatles records and figuring
Mm.
out David Bowie or whatever, by ear. And I did have an ear. I could start playing by ear. But yeah, I did have music sheets and stuff that taught me the basics.
Where do you think your musical inspiration and ideas come from? Do they feel like they come from within you, or do they feel like they created on a plane somewhere else and you're like a vessel and get to pull them down into you and express them?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, all that, who knows where, obviously it comes from God or nature or whatever you want to call it. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Egotistical to talk about it, but I know I have that gift of a talent. I mean, I'm so thankful for it every single second, and it's the only gift I got. I can't do nothing else. Nope, nothing. Uh, you know, but yeah, I don't know. It's just second nature to me. You know what it's like to.
No, not like that. No, no,
No.
no,
Yeah.
no, no. No. I
Yeah.
translate. I don't know if I create in my own little way, but not that's going to move, millions upon millions of people. No, Mark Shaiman. Very few people have what you've got, and I'm trying to figure out. There's not even the right questions really, other than you're a smarty pants, which usually the most humorous, perhaps the most dry, or even the most Eeyore of us are usually the smartest of us. But if you are already like getting your general education and you're like, school, blah, let's play the Beatles album, let's figure out those chords. And then you can take learning scales. Because I took theory, Papa. I took piano for 6 years. It did not equate to me going, hmm, the A sixth minor. I don't know any of that. So, in order for that to become second language and to take, genius is to distill what's complicated and make it in its purest form so that we mere mortals can understand it. You are able to understand the complexities of it and then write a song like A Wink and a Smile that you think, oh, this is just so jaunty. And yet I feel it and I can't stop humming it. And now it's part of the soundtrack of my life. Those are different understandings of what music is. So I think that's what we're trying to figure. It's like how do you take what is wildly complicated and then distill it for us to enjoy for like decades? Go ahead, answer that question.
Smarty pants.
When you said that, I mean, like for me, I mean, I had a movie in front of me. I had Tom Hanks seeing Meg Ryan at the Seattle airport, and I had to write. And so I just was at the piano and went, the look on his face made my fingers go.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that kind of felt like, who is
Questioning.
that? Music that says, who is that?
It's like writing lyrics without writing lyrics. You're writing
Yeah,
lyrics just through
totally.
the tune. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so fascinating. Do you prefer that to writing lyrics to just express the thought through the music instead of in words?
I don't prefer one or the other. I get a thrill out of writing lyrics the most maybe because music just kind of flows right out of me, and lyrics do, but also lyrics is such a craft, and I love figuring that out
Mm.
and sticking to the craft that is slowly but surely, evolving, let's say.
Hmm.
But I'm old school, and perfect rhymes and figuring out what's the perfect way to say this, and I love working with Scott that way. Sometimes I write on my own. I mean, if someone comes to me and say like, "Hey, could you write a special lyric about this event?" Then I can't get out of my head, and I'm lying in bed, till 2 in the morning, just figuring out funny ways to say something about Nathan Lane at some benefit that he's being honored at, and to
Yeah.
bring up the names of his shows in a funny way and what rhymes with that. And, I just love that. I just love it. I love it. I love it. I am very frustrated often that people don't recognize that I am a lyricist, and with Scott, a co-lyricist. It
Yeah.
just constantly get isn't understood, and that's my little pet peeve. So on my tombstone, it's going to say, I also wrote lyrics.
Do you do word games? Do you do the crossword puzzle in the New York Times or Wordle or Connections
Yes,
or anything
yes,
like that?
yes, of
You
course, of
love it
course.
all. You love it all.
Stages podcast will be right back, so don't go away. Who were your inspirations aside from the Beatles, trying to copy the Beatles music? When you were young and you were starting, who was it that you said, "Oh, I'm going to be, I know Bette Midler, but
Yeah, well,
what
Mary
composers?"
Poppins. I mean,
Oh,
and
Mary
all these
Poppins.
dreams coming true. If I had to think of what two LPs, what
Yeah.
albums that I listened to most between the ages of 4 and 14, it was the Mary Poppins soundtrack and Bette Midler's first two records.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
there
You
were
and
others.
Jonathan Groff, you have that in common.
That's
Did you know
right.
that?
Oh, he and I are so alike. We often get mistaken for each other on the street. Yeah. Um, you mean he loves Mary Poppins and
Yes,
Bette Midler, or one or the other, or
Mary
I'm going to
Poppins.
say yes, and then the people down below can correct me. But whatever, it's better if it's both. It's better if it's both. But I know Mary Poppins was like a major influence, and
Yeah.
he dressed as Mary Poppins for Halloween for
oh, that's right. I do
several
remember
years,
that
like
hearing
when he
that.
was
Yes,
4 and 5 and 6. Yeah, it really was a huge part of his life, his young life.
And so then when
yes.
you went on and you sort of ended up in with Bette Midler and then ended up with doing the
Mary
the
Poppins.
scoring
Yeah.
for Mary Poppins Returns, of what do you ever stop and think, how did this happen? Or does it
Holy
feel like
crap.
it was always meant to happen? Does
Well,
it?
it happens. But at my 60th birthday, which was now 6 years ago, I threw a party and put on a whole show. And at the end, it was like time for me to, give my kind of thank you speech to everyone who was there. And I sang a song from Mary Poppins Returns. And it was only as I was talking about it that I kind of realized that just a few months earlier, that Bette Midler
Mm.
sang a song for the song that Scott and I, my first soulmate, wrote for a sequel to Mary Poppins. Like this
Worlds
three-way
colliding.
circle, full circle moment. It was only that moment at my party that even at the night at the Academy Awards, I didn't quite go, wow,
Mm.
wow. But a few months later, I was like, yeah. And of course, I totally just broke down and sobbing ensued. But
How magical.
Yeah,
yeah,
super.
yeah. And so that's the kind of stories I tell in the book. And that, even as I complain about this and that and mope about this and that, I do recognize these moments and talk about them in the book and hope that they are inspirational for others. It's not just me tooting my own horn, but also
They're very inspirational.
letting people know that like dreams can truly come true.
Yeah, life
Truly.
can be magical.
I have chapters of
Yeah.
proof to
Yeah.
show that
But
dreams can come true.
but you had the goods.
Yeah.
You were willing to take the big risks. I mean, if you're emptying your bank account and saying yes and flying across the country to make yourself available for like dreams that you are creating. Yes, I believe that there's destiny out there. I believe in manifestation. I believe in all the woo-woo.
Yeah.
But you are literally putting it to work in real time to say, I believe in who I am and my skills and this opportunity, and I'm going to, suck the marrow right
Yeah.
out of it.
If you don't
That's
take action, all of the other magic is worthless. Right.
right.
Yeah. And when students ask for advice, the only advice I really can give is just show up, say yes. You never ever know where that magic moment's going to happen. And
Yeah.
I've had it happen for me, and it's happened through me for others. Scott and I went up to Vermont to where he did summer stock. They said after Hairspray, they said, "Hey, when it was being done in summer stock, they called and said, "Hey, Scott, come up to the where you did summer stock when you were 17 or 18, and we're going to give you an award." And it was a long drive, and there was a horrible rainstorm, and we almost didn't go, but then we did go. And the girl who was playing Tracy, I mean, she had gotten the lead. She was playing the lead in Hairspray, but in Vermont. And I bet in a moment she might have thought, well, this is fine, but like, what is this going to really do for my career? Maybe. She might have, I'm just saying as an example. Well, Scott and I went to
There
see
you
it,
were.
and we were like, she's really good. Cut to, she was playing Tracy Turnbow on Broadway like half a year later because we went to Vermont that one day
Right.
and saw her in it. So,
So you just never
even
know.
even if you're not getting offered the lead in the show, show up wherever. I just have a million stories of hearing
Yeah.
something, or to not get too upset when you don't get a job at the audition because people are listening and looking, and you remember someone from some other audition that they came in for a show, and you remember it 2 years later, 5 years, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
What's meant for you will find you.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
roadmaps just are not linear. This
Right.
career just is not rung by rung by rung by rung. It just makes no sense. So when we're trying to look for that roadmap or advice from teachers or mentors, you're giving the best advice. Say yes, show up, do your best work always, find joy in it, be grateful, plant that seed, and then who knows,
don't be
6
an
years.
asshole. I
And
also
don't be an
say, don't be an
asshole.
asshole. That's
Yeah,
it.
well, you
Don't.
have to let go of the outcome, and you have to have faith that that no was just putting you on a different path that is your
Yeah.
yes.
But it's so hard to. I mean, I tell
I
in the
know.
book many stories of getting fired. I got my first big movie job that fell in my lap, and then I got taken off of it when Jeffrey Katzenberg learned that they had hired someone who'd never scored a movie before on a
No.
movie that he went and saw the test screening, and they put, temporary music in. And he didn't like the temporary music. He said, well, who's going to be scoring this to show these guys what it needs to be? And they were like, oh, well, it's this kid who's never scored a movie before. He was like, no, 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 no. This was a movie called Big Business with Bette Midler and Lily Tomlin.
Oh, I
And
remember.
he gently had to fire me 3 years later. And
Wow.
I was so devastated. And it was just another moment after all the trying to get a musical in New York. And it just kind of always running into the brick wall. So believe me, I've had moments of full on, I give up, desperation. Please don't tell me that my time will come. I don't want to hear
Yeah,
that
you don't want to
anymore.
hear
I
that
can't
in the
Yeah.
moment.
hear it anymore. But then it did.
Did you keep journals? Because your stories are so detailed, and there's
Yeah, how'd you
this is
remember?
all just at the top of your head. I can't
And I
remember
can't
last
remember
week.
anything anymore. So it's bizarre. But I guess from telling certain anecdotes over the years, some things stuck with me, and everything in there is true, as I remember it.
Yeah.
But I acknowledge certainly that anyone who is within the stories that I'm telling will have their own perspective of what their truth is. But I didn't stretch anything. Some people who I adore, who I'm very close to, believe in the adage of why why spoil a good story with the truth. But
Right.
luckily,
Or
I've had enough true stories to tell that
I
yeah.
think the adage that's more appropriate is great stories happen to those that can tell them.
well,
Oh, all
That's what
right.
it is.
never heard that one. All right.
I need to know about your SNL days because going back to Camila, we went to high school together. And so I can't remember what show choir concert, but she and I did the Sweeney Sisters act.
Oh my God.
We are legends at Los Alamitos High School. And I can still remember clang, clang, clang with the trolley. Thank you. Ding, ding. And we did the whole darn thing. And everybody's like, this is what you choose to.
Unfortunately, because of music rights, they don't get rerun the way that many other characters. And for some reason, now well over a decade or more, they stopped including them in like the Christmas episode.
Is it too expensive now for like song rights or
I believe
something?
it would be too expensive, but luckily that the Christmas Bell medley is on YouTube, and it gets put out there every year. But yeah, there are generations now of people who don't know what the Sweeney Sisters
Oh,
are.
yeah.
I guess they also don't know who the Wild and Crazy Guys are.
Oh,
Time moves on.
yeah. Well, we're
But
going to link in this. We will absolutely link to at least the Christmas bells on YouTube. So, how did that come to be? Did you put those sort of montages together, the whole medleys together, or?
I've been hired. I've been working up there freelance for a few years. They would call me if someone else had an idea up there. And I was lucky enough in those years that there wasn't a funny Jewish guy at the piano, because
What?
you can't have comedy without a funny Jewish guy at the piano, because it was after Paul Schaefer had done the first 5 years,
Okay.
and then different people were kind of doing that, and I started getting the call, and I worked, and that's how I met Billy Crystal and Martin Short, which
Of
changed my life
course.
completely. Who are still literally in my tribe. But then I got hired full time to just actually go. That was actually my first real full time job, where I actually went on Friday to a lady behind a window and got my paycheck. I never had that experience and never have since. But and for the first few weeks or months, I have to say, I say it in the book, it's maybe the only time in my life where I felt, maybe it's not real, but I felt like I was being viewed as the fag at the end of the hall.
Wow.
Like the
Oh,
guys up
sorry to
there,
hear
like
that.
those Ivy League tall white guys. Of course, leave it to me to be at Saturday Night Live in the years where no one wanted music, no one wanted
Mm.
performing of music. Now,
In the
for the first
80s,
like
they
the
didn't
last
want, that's not what they wanted in the
no, it
80s.
happened like sort of, especially in the last 15 years. Now every host starts with a number,
Of
and
Yes.
course.
then there's
Yeah.
all those songs that they write. There's so much music. Not when I was up there, just my luck.
Wow. Well,
But
oh,
luckily,
Eeyore.
I was sitting in my little office, which was smaller than this room I'm in now, and Nora and Jan and the Turners, a married couple who went on to create Third Rock from the Sun,
Okay.
Bonnie and Terry Turner. They had been friends with Jan, I think, down in Atlanta, and Bonnie and Jan had in open mic nights or cabaret nights had been playing around with these characters of a medley singing lounge singers. So they knocked on the door and they said, "We have this idea of Jan and Nora being these sisters who maybe have limited talent, but endless courage."
Exuberance.
Yes. And would you help us put together a medley? And I was like, would I? Would I? I say in the book, I would have run to the piano, but my room was so small, I already was at the piano. And the first medley was just total non sequiturs, just one song to the next. It didn't have any kind of theme, but it was put on towards the end of the evening. But people, well, it got some sort of reaction. And so
Yes.
then, they came and knocked on the door again, maybe a few weeks later, and we started doing them. And every time we went to a read through and there was another Sweeney Sisters sketch, you could tell that the other guys, the Ivy League guys, were like, "Oh God, not another Sweeney Sisters." But we persevered.
Yeah.
And so I did get to be part of a recurring characters on Saturday Night Live.
It's a
And
pop culture reference. It's
Yeah.
a pop culture moment.
to people of certain generations. Yes.
What are you saying? What are you? How
I think you
dare
just called
you?
us
Bless
old.
you. I'm very happy, believe me. Yeah, and it was a thrill. One of the biggest thrills I do write about in the book was Lorne Michaels had us open the Emmy Awards. After that first year, he produced the Emmy Awards, and we opened the Emmy Awards with a medley, which you can YouTube, and it goes on as all Sweeney Sister medleys did. It goes
Yeah.
on far too
At
long.
least 12 songs too long. But
Yeah,
like
Paul,
pain to
the week
pleasure.
Paul Schaefer hosted, he said to us, "Oh yeah, you girls like to work long." And so the Emmy Award medley is far too long. But there are moments when Jan Hook sings the Magilla Gorilla theme, which was a cartoon when I was a kid. We've got a gorilla for sale, Magilla Gorilla for sale. When she sings that as a ballad, we've got
Get a
a
good
gorilla for
thank
sale.
you.
Anyway, but then they sat on the edge of the stage and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, you know, when we were growing up, anyway, however they got into it, we got to sing the Mary Tyler Moore theme
Oh,
to Mary Tyler Moore."
wow.
And Mary Tyler Moore, you can see if you watch it, she's just beaming back up at them, loving
Oh,
it. And then when she hosted the show the next season, she's at the Monday night meeting, she said, "I'll do whatever you all want, but the only thing I insist on is being in a Sweeney Sisters sketch."
I remember that.
So what a thrill to
that
get
is
to
a
work with Mary Tyler
thrill.
Moore, because that's my era.
Yeah.
Whether when it was first on, and I was a kid in New Jersey watching that Saturday night run of All in the Family and Mary Tyler Moore,
Sure.
and then in the '80s when I was in New York, staying up late at night. NBC used to rerun the Mary Tyler Moore theme show at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30. Some nights they would put on four in a row, and you'd be like, "I gotta go to sleep." But then it would go.
But that was the beginning of binge watching. Yeah.
Yes, that was that. They
That was
invented
it.
binge
Hit me.
watching.
Hit me. I need
Yes.
another one. Hit me. Yeah. Yeah.
So to get to work with her was just outrageously.
That is outrageous. But you've got story after story
I
after
know. I'm listening
story
to
like
myself,
that.
and you realize you got to tell me to shut up. Oh.
No,
never,
In
never.
fact, were there any people in your lives that were like, or did you say, "Hey, this is your chapter. You are highlighted in it. You can read it first." Did you allow anybody to get a preview or have their 2 cents into how the story is perceived in your book?
No, I didn't. A few people in the book publishing world said, don't. You'll never finish.
Yeah.
You got to
Okay.
just write it as you remember it and you
Okay.
feel it.
But they were
And
mostly very
I did
positive
try to
They're
be,
stories.
positive. Yeah.
I tried to be respectful, of course,
Sure.
Yeah.
and I'm not looking to hurt anyone's feelings. I do tell a few stories kind of out of school, but
Huh.
but sending it to Bette Midler, that was scary because I didn't know
Okay.
how she would take it. Because mostly, for a lot of her career, she just didn't like when people would talk about how the sausage was made. She
Hmm.
didn't like it if you pulled the curtain and talked about, like, if when Wind Beneath My Wings, I found that song and brought it to her for Beaches. So that was when I really earned my stripes in the Bette Midler world.
Yeah.
But I might have talked about that when people asked about it, and I knew that she didn't love that.
Mm.
But she has mellowed over the years, and she's and when I finally sent it to her, I said, this is basically a love letter to you, this book. And I hope you won't mind anymore that I tell all these stories of how certain things came about, because it is my life.
Yeah.
It happened to me. I'm just telling my own life story, and you're a big part of it. And luckily, she
Yep. She
is cool
approved.
with it.
She
So much
blessed
so
it.
that she wrote me a blurb, and she's going to be
Uh,
the moderator interviewing me in LA at the
oh, how great.
Academy of Arts and Science Museum. So the fact that I'm going to be on stage with her asking me about my life, and of course, all I'm going to talk about is my
Is
life
her.
with her.
You're going to gush about her.
Yeah, so it's going to be a gush fest.
Ugh.
Um,
Are
it's
you
it's just
involved with the new Beaches on Broadway?
no movie I've worked any iconic movie I scored. I have not been asked to be part of the Broadway musical
Are
of.
you kidding?
Boy, that's bizarre.
That is bizarre.
Oh, and there's lots of them.
Do they not want a voice of reason or knowledge and they'd rather just have a clean slate?
Well, often
What's
it
your
might
take
be
on that?
some other people thought, "Hey, let's make a music." I mean, maybe I should have jumped on it more. Like, "Hey, let's do a Broadway musical of Sister Act or of the Addams Family." And there's just so
Right.
many. And so, yeah, Beaches is just the latest one.
Wow. But you do love Jessica Vosk and she does love you very much.
Yes, and
She's
she'll be
another one of your moderators.
she'll be at the 92nd Street Y. Yes, and we're going to sing a song from the movie Beaches. Well, I was at a party with her and I'd never met her. And he had a party and I went and there was Jessica Vosk and she started like in on, you know, I guess you'd say fangirling
Mhm.
on me, which, I'm perfectly happy. As Joan Crawford says in the movie Torch Song, if the talk's about me, I'll buy a ticket. So, so she started talking about beaches and she mentioned the song Otto Titzling. Otto
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Titzling.
sure.
And I said, oh my God, I haven't thought of that song in decades. But and normally I'm not a person who will anymore go over to the piano and start playing. But I was like, I dare you to sing it, and I dare myself to remember a single note or chord of it.
And
But
she
we
knew it
went
all?
over there, and we both remembered it word for word, note
Oh
for
my
note, chord for
God.
Wow.
chord. So we're gonna recreate that moment at the 92nd Street Y.
Oh, I remember that song very well. Has there ever been someone who you dreamed perhaps of connecting and working with that it didn't happen? Because it seems like it's happened with almost everyone you've dreamed of working with. Oh,
Well,
aside from Stephanie
I'm
J. Block
staring
and
right at
me.
you.
I need like a wind machine or something, you know?
I'm available.
Uh,
How did you two? I don't know anything about your back.
Stephanie
Your
and I
friendship.
were in the Will
Oh,
Rogers Follies together. I was Betty Blake and she was Z, and we shared a dressing room.
we
And we
did.
could not have been more opposites.
Polar
We were the
opposites.
odd
Yeah.
couple of dressing rooms, and we just loved each other. And that was 30, what, almost 40 years ago.
Yes, but we've got to set the stage. So it's Branson, Missouri in the late
90s
90s or early aughts? Late
or early,
90s.
early 90s. Yeah.
So it's Troika, which is non-equity. We're doing 12 shows a week.
12 with
Our
Pat Boone.
Pat Boone is our Will Rogers. There's picketing outside because we're scantily dressed.
Hmm.
We do have a multitude of races in our cast, which was not accepted in Branson, Missouri, or the Ozarks or Arkansas. So it was like this microcosm of so much life happening to all of us. A lot of it was ridiculous and absurd. A lot of it were life lessons that we were taking and would, infuse us for the rest of our lives. And that's kind of what happened here. I was 20 going on 21, and like my world was just expanding in so many ways. And this friendship now has lasted, yeah, 30 some years now.
And it's so
So,
funny because it was all before the internet. And we used to
yeah.
actually write letters back and
Yeah.
forth to each other for years. And then we lost each other for a while. And then Facebook popped up and we found each other again.
Yeah.
And we just always, and I was a little bit older than Steph. So I sort of became a mom before she did. I, got married before she did. And so we would talk during these big moments in our life and like connect again and catch up. And then during COVID,
Mm.
she was really struggling because they had
I
moved to
was sad.
California and
I
she
was
was really
sad.
and and I had this like burst of creativity during COVID because I felt like there was nothing else to do. So I was like, let's learn the ukulele. And I was just like painting and taking up
And so
painting classes.
this
And
bitch, I would have like a little
she
idea, like, well, we should just have a conversation and maybe think about starting if you say maybe think about perhaps one day sometime, she then is like, so I just got
give me
lawyers,
10 minutes.
paperwork's coming at you tomorrow. And then I've learned how to do the thing and we're gonna start
Oh,
recording tomorrow. And I was like,
yeah. I built a website. We
no.
have the theme song.
Yeah.
It's all done. She's like, what happened? I go,
So
we're doing a podcast. Now you're in. And that's how it
and now
happened. And it's been one
it's
of the greatest things. It's
yeah,
brought
it's been a great
more
gift.
joy to talk to people like you who just so willingly come on and share like your heart and your stories. Especially now, it reaffirms my faith in humanity when I do
Mm.
this podcast because you can get so down looking at the news and walking through the world, but then you talk to artists and creative people and they're so beautiful and their hearts are so open that
And
it heals me
and
as a
these two
person doing it.
middle-aged cis women,
Yeah.
it's 18 to 35-year-olds that listen
Yeah.
to this podcast and just get inspired and love it. And it's really been a special sort of like generational
Mm.
thing too.
It's a
So
huge
she's now a
gift.
Tony Award-winning producer. I'm still huffing it and doing the juggle and the mom thing and, trying to make it all happen. But these conversations really have been
Yeah.
very special. And they don't, I hope you can attest, they don't feel stale. And we find that people are able to feel comfortable enough that they open up. So it's been really nice.
Lovely. When you said 18 to 35 years old, it reminded me of a few weeks ago. I wrote about it online. Uh, Masterclass, I guess you'd call it.
Sure.
A guy asked me to come into NYU, where he has a musical theater course, and I sat all day, and students sang songs of mine, songs I've written with Scott, songs I've written on my own, songs from movies, whatever. And I was kind of petrified going in. I was like, "Oh, is this going to be torture?" These I realized very quickly. Oh, they had to audition to get into this class. These kids are all really
Mm,
good.
Mm.
mm.
And so then I just had this wonderful day of hearing all these different songs I wrote from decades, and it was so moving. And then a song came up. Someone sang a song I couldn't believe they knew that Harry Connick Jr. sang on his the second album I did with him. A song I wrote, and I explained that I wrote that song putting myself in the place of Scott, who was at that time my, as we said then, lover. And he was
Lover?
upset that I was in LA working with Bet, and like, why aren't you coming home? And I was like, well, I'm just here working with like my idol. But anyway, to make a long story short, I told them the story and I sang the song, and or that already kind of cracked a little, and I was getting a little, you know,
Emotion.
emotional. And then the very next thing, a girl got up and started singing "I Can Hear the Bells" from Hairspray. And when she got to the chorus, the whole class started singing the harmony,
Oh
three-part
my
harmony,
God.
in this reverberant room, and they were all singing it perfectly. And I was overwhelmed.
Ugh.
And
Oh,
these
that's
poor
beautiful.
students, although I think they got something out of it, they got to witness me just absolutely, once again, sobbing, well, to speak, because
But you know
I
what?
was just overwhelmed.
They got to
Yeah.
witness more than just that, though. They got permission to experience that feeling and express it in their own lives. Where
Yeah.
so often we feel, oh, I shouldn't quite express that overjoy, or I shouldn't quite. And we talked about this with Jonathan Groff. His exuberance for life and his freedom of expressing how he really feels in his heart gives permission to other people to enter that space and to do so themselves. So it's all just a reverberation of truth and joy and love. And I think that's a huge gift. When you're saying it, all I could think of was that old TV show, This Is Your Life.
Hmm.
It
That's
was
what I was
very much.
thinking of.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
so the irony that I got more out of that day
Sure.
than any of them did.
Mm.
It was just what a gift.
it's
What a
circled
gift.
back. And it supports my theory that you are the same as Jonathan Groff, and I've never seen the two of you in the same room, so I don't know. The jury's out on that.
Something there.
All right.
We'll be right back with the 5 questions, but first, a word from our sponsor.
If you could be an instrument, what instrument sound do you feel embodies who you are?
I don't know why I thought of an oboe the second you said that, because it's not
Mm.
really true. I think it was because it was in a word puzzle on the New York Times. I think at 5 this morning when I couldn't sleep, I think tuning instrument was in the crossword.
Yeah, but if you consider yourself an Eeyore,
Yeah.
that sounds that woodwind, that sort of
Yeah, I guess it's
cry of the
true.
oboe, that's kind of
Yeah,
right, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, if you could go back to your 14-year-old self and whisper something in his ear, what would you tell him? What guidance would you give him?
I don't know. After the stories I've told you just now, I would probably not say. I would just say, you you're doing okay. Whatever keep doing what you're doing, because at that time, I was at my most fearless
Mm.
and full of the joy of hearing new musical comedy scores with every community theater show, and listening to harmony in new ways that I'd never thought about, and getting to work with the girls in my junior high school and say, here, you sing this note and you sing that note. So, 14 was a very good, a very good year.
You peaked.
Yeah.
Okay. If we called Lou, your husband, and said, "Oh, Lou, Mark's ended up in jail," what would Lou assume that you've done to put yourself in jail?
Oh
Uh-oh.
God.
Oh my
Uh-oh.
God. Does he have a
Coming with the answer
mugshot back
comes with
there? A
props.
gun? I don't know. Lou, are you coming on screen?
Oh my gosh.
Wait. Do we need to? I don't know. Do we salute? What do we do?
You could thank him for his service.
Okay.
Lou,
Lieutenant Commander, thank you for your
Hi, Lou.
service.
Really?
Hi. Lou, we have a question for you.
Sure.
If your hub ended up in jail and we called you, but we didn't give you the reason, what would be the reason you would assume that Mark landed himself in jail? How'd he get there? Uh-oh.
What I go to jail for? I'm gonna say it's a traffic violation.
Yeah,
Oh, are you a terrible driver?
I'm pretty good, and then every now and then
He
I
gets distracted.
I think about a C major 9 chord, and should it be a C sharp augmented,
Right.
and I might miss a turn or
Yeah. Stop
run a
sign,
stop
whatever.
sign here or there.
He just told me with the rental car that he was so like, I don't know, I'm in the wrong lane and something, and he ran a red light. Well, thank you.
You're the one who brought him in here, Mark.
No, it's true. He was just saying that.
Oh my gosh. And did you plan your what's with green? Talk to me. What's happening here? The walls, the carpet, the clothes,
Oh,
is
I
this
didn't
something
know
you're
about
putting
that.
into the universe for 2026? What's going on?
I don't know. I just like green shirts, and then he reminded me that actually the shirt I'm wearing he bought for himself that I've made it my own now. But
Well, green is the color of the heart. So green is
Oh,
the
heart
is the heart
chakra.
center.
Well, I guess
Yep.
this is olive.
Okay. Well,
all right, I can't keep holding this laptop.
Lou, we loved meeting you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Gosh, he's cute.
Thank you. I know. Why'd you think I called him in here?
I know. He needed airtime. He deserves airtime. Yeah.
Okay. Describe, please, your favorite sandwich.
Lately, Lenwich,
Oh, I love Lenny's. I love Lenwich.
turkey and chopped liver on rye. With
Oh.
No.
Chopped
Oh.
liver.
Chopped liver is if it doesn't have too many weird little things in it. I just like chopped liver when it's just like a mound of mush.
Please stop talking. Please stop saying words.
I
I
can
can't
handle it.
take it.
No, chopped liver. Oh my God. Chopped liver. Mm.
Okay, our final question. If you were a nail polish color, what's the color? And then what's the cheeky little name of the nail polish color?
Green.
Well, obviously it's going to be green.
Yeah.
It's gonna be emerald green. And a cheeky name. I don't know. You stumped me.
No.
Help me. What should
Well,
be
no one's going to use chopped liver, so let's not use that.
Yeah, well,
Let's go. Yeah. What?
I feel
Should we
bad as a
let-
lyricist. I'm gonna have to get back to you on this one.
Or should we let our listeners chime in and then they
Yes,
can all?
please. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then at 4 a.m. this morning, I know I will be up going, "Ugh,
Right.
I know what it is now."
Everybody down below, give us your idea for Marc Shaiman's green nail polish color. It's got to be clever. Thank you. You're a dream. This was so fun. So
Yeah, it
fun
was
for
fun.
us.
Thank you so much for
Cheers.
spending the time.
Yeah.
I have a link to your book and the audio version as
Yes,
well
yes,
below.
the book.
Because,
the book.
because the audio version has people singing little clips from the shows
Yeah,
and the
there are
songs and stuff. So you
extras.
definitely want to get
I'm
both.
making a video where I'm gonna sing new lyrics I wrote to. So I'm gonna say, "You've got to get two. It's best
got
to
to
buy
get-
two because who can choose? And
That's
you
right.
want to be able to read at your own pace." But
Yeah.
then you also want to get to hear Megan Hilty singing "Moving the Line." You know,
Yes,
so on
you
Of
do.
Of course.
so on
We
and
will
so
have
forth.
links
Christian
to both.
Borle, you know, Norbert Leo Butts.
You are naming all the people I reached out to, and they said wonderful things about you.
So they're all there on the audio book. So you
Great.
got to get both.
You got to get both.
Definitely.
All right.
Here's what struck a chord with us. What a dream.
I
What
know.
a dream. I mean, what a life. And if you run through the list of just the movies, forget the Broadway scores and just
And
the
I'm going
movies that
to.
he has done, it is mind-boggling. And they're all like my favorite movies. Most of them are just some of my favorite movies. And yeah, I mean, just
Do you mind if I
amazing.
take the time to
No,
say
go
the
for
7
it. Go for
nominations?
it.
I mean, the movies really are extensive, but these are
Yeah.
the nominated ones. So in 1994, he was up for Best Original Song, A Wink and a Smile from Sleepless in Seattle. The only reason I know why he didn't take home that trophy, it was stacked. I think Bruce Springsteen won that year for Philadelphia, but then John Williams was also on for help me out, Schindler's List. And it was also the score of Jurassic Park. Like it was a crazy year.
Yeah.
In 1996, he was up for Best Musical or Comedy Score with The American President.
Oh, I love
Excellent.
that one.
One of my top 10.
Love.
1997 score, The First Wives Club, again with Bette Midler. 1999 for score, Patch Adams. That one starred Robin Williams. 2000, this is, oh my God, my husband loves this. It's just disgusting. But original song, Blame Canada, South Park, bigger,
my God.
longer, and uncut.
Love it. Love it so much.
You do? Oh my
Blame
gosh.
Canada is the best.
Well, the song's amazing. The movie is hilarious. The whole, it's all just ridiculous. And I do feel like a 15-year-old boy when I watch any of that stuff. And then in 2019, as he mentioned, the score for Mary Poppins Returns, and then for song, The Place Where Lost Things Go. So, I mean,
But they're
these are
not
just
even-
the 7
and those are
nominations.
those are just the nominations because there's
Tidbits.
broadcast news, Beaches, Harry Met Sally, City Slickers. I mean, it goes on and
Yeah,
on.
Sister Act, like it just goes on and
It's
on. And how
unbelievable.
does that's something I should ask. How do you write a score, like, and then the next year write a score, and then the next year write a score, and they're getting like nominated? You would
Unbelievable.
think, unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to excuse me real quick. I looked up. I saw the dustiest frame in the history of frames.
Oh my
And
God.
that, ay, girl, can't focus.
Is it hard to live in your head sometimes?
It's hard to be me. It's hard to be me.
I don't know how
Anyway.
we shared a dressing room for all those years because honestly,
And it's gotten worse. You know, the older we get, all of that stuff, all of those neuroses, they're just magnified, right?
oh my God.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Vives and sort of the unpredictability of just having a kid, it would be really.
Yeah. With a kid, you got to let go or it's
You
just
ha-
battle,
no,
battle,
there's no
battle,
way.
battle, battle. What are you going to do? You can't. You can't.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Back to Mark. So there's only been a handful of times that I have been in his same sort of breathing space. I was able to sneak in. I was invited, so it wasn't really sneaking, for the Hairspray cast recording. I knew so many of the cast, and they were like, well, come on, we're on a lunch break. And I do remember listening to Marissa, and she was singing Good Morning Baltimore. And I was like, I'm in the middle of all these people, and, you know, she's recording the original cast album of Hairspray. This is crazy. Then there was a party at his house, him and Scott, their apartment. That was wild. And everything that you would, if you've seen any of these musical theater parties like on Smash or whatever, that was it. That's how they go. Somebody's at the piano singing. People are making out in the corners. Somebody's smoking out the window. I'm sure there was a whole bunch of debauchery happening in different corners, but just so great and so like of the moment in New York City. Yeah. Because he is really so generous of spirit and treasure. And he goes he doesn't announce it. It's very under the radar, but crazy generous, Marc Shaiman.
Yeah, there's something really, really like he's tapped into something super magical in his life.
And yet his feet are planted firmly on the ground. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think for magic to happen, your feet have to be planted. You can't all be up here. You have to be totally grounded to embrace the nose and trust that they'll lead you to the magic place that you're going.
Yeah.
And you can really kind of see it in him. There's a humility and a openness and a huge heart, Green.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's really special. Like, what a special guy.
Yeah.
And I did want to talk to him about his relationship with Rob Reiner because I know they were really close and that Rob Reiner was a huge mentor for him. And it was
Huge
a huge
mentor.
loss for him.
But that's always such a tender bridge to cross. And I just wanted it to remain holy. So we, you know, giving condolences and our care.
Yeah.
But you could see
Yeah.
that's not going to go away.
No.
What a tragedy. Ugh.
Yeah, it really was. But we are so lucky. And it's funny that when he asked, how we started this, because it really does just like makes me light up because I get so much from the people that we talk to on this podcast. It's silly.
and it's
The joy.
contagious.
It is. It is.
And how, everybody, we were talking right before we pressed record that Mary Lee, is going back to look at all the footage of the last 5 years of the conversations. And
Yeah.
that's going to be really fun and joyful.
It
And
really
again,
is.
I'm big on returning. I think it's important to listen to things because wherever you are in your life, something is going to touch you in a different way or spark, a thought where you go, oh gosh, I didn't hear that or see that first time around. So that'll be great.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's going to be really great. All right. Well, I love you to pieces.
Love you too. You're my Sweeney sister in life. So thanks, everybody. Keep telling all your pals to check us out on wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. It's very important now.
Subscribe, please.
Subscribe.
Hit the button.
It doesn't matter if it's your computer and somebody else's. Just
hit
get
it.
on there and start
Do it.
subscribing.
All
Yes. All right. Love you.
Bye. Stages podcast is produced by Mary Lee Fairbanks and Stephanie J. Block. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Join us on social media pages or sign up for the mailing list at stagespodcast.net. That is also where you will find Stages swag. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share and rate and review the show. It really helps us grow. Big thank you to Noah Kaiserman and Garrett Healy for the original music, and Allison Arns, who has been with us since day one. See you soon.